Welcome, High Commissioner from Bangladesh. He's a wonderful man. He eats too little. As you can see, we try to sort of feed him properly, sort of in a chaotic way, but he ate very little. And you can see it shows that he eats very little. He's very frugal. He's a very wise man. We've had a conversation, and I learned a lot
My God,
from
that's-
him. He's a graduate of Aligarh Muslim University, so he knows India well. So Riaz Hamidullah, Alamgir, his young colleague, Snehesh, now all yours.
Welcome to ThePrint. It gives us a lot of pleasure to host you here. This is a small interaction that we keep having. We keep having, in which we get to meet ambassadors and senior officers like you and interact. So this session is a very open session in the sense that we most of my colleagues are here who've covered various facets of the government, from diplomacy to even in Bangladesh. As we have Moshmi Das Gupta here, as I mentioned earlier, she was actually the first Indian journalist to interview Mohammed Yunus, and the interview got published on the day that he took over as the interim advisor. So yes, Ambassador, thank you so much. And the session is open. The floor is open to you if you'd like to make a
Opening
remark.
statement.
Opening statement.
I think
Opening remarks. Statement
yeah.
is heavy.
No, thank you very much. It's very humbling for me, and if not intimidating. Just look at me as an ordinary South Asian. I think that should be better. Quite often, I don't know when you'd hear South Asian. We tend to say, but it's not about to bore you in terms of identity conversation. I'll have only 2 or 3 things to say. One is the last part we were speaking. Bangladesh-India relations, we tend to look at, or we are familiar with in terms of many things. But I would like to underscore that I think we are having a very cliched menu of engagements. Question is that we are still stuck with cooperation. But shouldn't it be collaboration or collaborative engagements? Question mark. And that's where my take is that, and I said it in June at a public outreach for the first time, it's time that we liberate the relationship. What does it mean? I have my own take, and feel free to challenge me whichever way you wish to. When I joined almost 3 decades back, we were trained that Bangladesh-India relations, there are 4, 5, 6 blocks in terms of security, trade, border, transboundary waters, etc. But not only the world has changed, but too many things have changed in Bangladesh, or between Bangladesh and India. But challenge is that each of us, we have our own understanding, our comfort zone, our zone of familiarity, and we tend to look at that or define a relationship at a given point of time in terms of that. But bigger question is that if we are to prospect into future, how would we do that? Obviously, we have history, but stepping into shaping a relationship, or that to liberating it in terms of history, how much can we do that is a bigger question. And I'm saying that for several reasons. And that's one of the reasons why I said, if you ask me to carve an alternate menu of collaboration between Bangladesh and India, my audacious attempt would bring 3 big blocks, which again, since you cover different bits, you can vouch me. We can vouch. Correct me as well. One topmost in my thing is agriculture/agro-food. It would not occur to us ordinarily. I can bet. And I was explaining as well that coming from a country called Holland in the recent past, till exactly last summer, I've seen up close how they have done that. People call that a tiny country, that themselves ridicule them as well. But that country, if they have done that, it's so very easy for us where nature is so generous to us, but we don't understand, we do not look at it. And the other is education, not higher education per se, but the bottom of the pyramid, which is school. It has multiple hashtags to come in with it, I've not explained. And the third to me is healthcare. All that are exactly to fit in what I said, that the next level of liberating the relationships between our two peoples should be and can well be in terms of mutual trust and respect, within parentheses, not in terms of cliche, benefit sharing, and equity. Frankly speaking, equity to begin with. And that's exactly what is coming out from the younger Bangladeshi demography. To be exact, 52.2% below 35. You can check out the figures. Three things are coming as a confluence, like Triveni Sangam. One is the younger demography. Second is urbanization. Again, doesn't occur to many. Last when I was in Europe, for some reason I was checking out, UN Habitat told that by then, which is 22, 40% plus Bangladeshi population was living in urban space. Urban space means small towns, etc., like Hooghly and other places as well. Projection is far more scary. By 2030, that number is to go up to 48%, meaning half. No need to explain to you, the younger demography being in urban space feels so liberated. Not a question of right or wrong. They take up the gadget and think that, oh, I can see the Fifth Avenue here. Oh, it's like there, almost. Question of not real or unreal. But that's the nature of it. Then I or you cannot connect with them. That's again another question. But how do I fit into that aspiration? And the third is digitalization. So last, I think the figures I saw is 110 million active mobile SIMs. There may be some other figures, all can go
The
into.
population is about 170 million, which includes babies.
Yeah. So median age, by the way, is 28 years possibly.
Yeah, India is 29 now.
29. So all these put together, let's say, also I would also ask you to check another figure. I think last I saw is 2.4 million, if not 2.2 million, are entering the labor market every year, which is job market. Of that, if you break down, I think 0.8 to 0.9 million are university graduates. Of that, almost half are private university graduates. I've not explained anything further to you. You can understand what I'm trying to
And
do.
how expensive are private universities in Bangladesh?
Average, every year tuition should be average in social science should be, in terms of Dhaka, should be, I think, let's say $500,000
Every year?
How
Every
much
year.
would that be in terms of Indian rupees?
Rupees
Dollars?
rupees would be 3 lakh rupees.
3 lakh rupees.
3 lakh rupees. So that's social science or humanities, liberal arts. We ourselves, I think many Bangladeshis were struck by the fact, and only coming to sort of come to terms to that it's not the Dhaka fellows who are coming there. I think the sizable majority are from outside of Dhaka, coming from, let's say, small town, middle class families who are selling of their land or inheritance and seeing that, okay, I think it's also something Indian phenomena. I'm investing into the future of my ward. So, and being able to understand or my inability to understand, that would make a difference. And that's what something we saw that. Maybe
Do you also have the equivalent of our UPSC madness? So families sell their buffaloes, their land, etc., for their kids to go through coaching classes. Do you have a
It's
civil
not,
service exam? You must have cracked one.
I went to Sahibganj, Sabziganj in Patna.
I see.
I saw that madness.
You saw that madness.
Yeah, just last week, in fact.
Yes.
It's not that. It's essentially that, good education so that you go for that, whether coaching or something, but you go for civils, that's for sure.
So it's a similar system, like our UPSC. What do you call it?
It's a Bangladesh Public Service Commission. But interesting is that this is something also we're trying to understand that in a country where 90%, if not 95% of the economy is in private sector, why there's a craze or may I say obsession with
Government job.
But that's something you can understand.
Yeah,
it's
a very subcontinental thing also.
But Ambassador, as you mentioned, that the India-Bangladesh ties have really underseen a lot of changes, right? How do you see the ties as of now, and where do you see this going forward? As we speak today, you had an interview given by Mohammed Yunus in which he was asked a question about the attacks on minorities, and he literally rubbished them by saying that this is what is part of India's fake news. So that is those are some of the issues of concern in India. So how do you see these ties, and where do you see what's the way forward from here?
So this is I can pass it around. These are cartoons that demolished a dictator. So these are all the cartoons and graffiti that in many cases amateurs were drawing.
Most of them are first timers.
First timers, but Bengali, na. Every Bengali is an artist.
We are only good in art and food.
So I know some Bengalis are still off on with their puja stuff, or some have gone back. But how many Bengalis do we have in this room at this point? See,
So Priyanjali is also one.
Priyanjali also one. Yes.
Not many. I think
So you can pass it around.
Not here.
so. Coming back, there are two aspects to it. Last night, I think I tweeted confirming the figures as Dasara concluded. By official count, very precise count and registered and all backstopped, it's 33,355 puja mandaps put across the whole country.
In Bangladesh.
At least around 2,000. Also, I get the last year's figure. At least around 2,000 more increase. In Dhaka, last year it was 252 or 3. This year it's 259. It's not simply in terms of numbers, but touchwood, we didn't see anything which should have worried us, frankly speaking. A large, dense population and different factors and actors at play. Now that sometimes in some pockets law and order gets an issue sometimes, the fact that entire 10-day period when that's seamless, I think that's quite an accomplishment for people, because it was essentially people at community level. There's an expression called mohalla. I don't know.
Everybody knows mohalla, yes.
So it was that kind of thing. So not to express in like Western concept that communities made it happen. It's that thing that no, we will ensure that. That's one. So I think that should corroborate. So I'll only speak for myself. I can't speak for anyone else. But the other part, sorry, you said.
I said
Okay. Yes, I remember. So I would see at 3 levels. One is state, meaning I represent the state. So state to state, very structured. Or interactions, interlocutor institutions, institutional mechanisms are there. That's one level. But the other is interactions between the private sector, between the two countries. I can tell you that it is as simple as that. My point of reference, don't believe in me, please check out 18th of August, Business Standard from India. They brought out a huge graphics. Keshav, if you can later share with them. It just caught to my attention, courtesy of Indian friend. That showed that past 10 months, trade figures have gone up between Bangladesh and India 12%. I've not had anything, and there are many other figures. It's not only simply to say, at least to say a positive figure, but it's someone really took an objective dive into what is it, let's unpack it. So I'll just give that reference. My other 2 references would be, as I was saying, Mr. Gupta Sahab, that there's a school called DPS. Everyone knows it. DPS moved to Dhaka 2005. Operation started, I guess, in 2006 or 7. seamlessly moving. My particular curiosity was that these times that we are passing through, would there be some kind of hiccup, etc.? Not a single thing. I spoke to, on my own volition, reached out to some guardians as well. So they were surprised at why I'm asking them. Meaning that what we would think, I'd only hint that, I'd not use the word, but that whatever may the perception, apprehension, speculation, nothing of that at the people level is there. In fact, this very morning, I was just looking for that survey. A very extensive survey has been carried out, and it may shock you, 61% of the respondents polled said that we want a very future-looking, stable relationship in India, as also with Pakistan, a similar 60 plus minus thing. Meaning that, whatever you may hear or wherever, it's a very different thing. So one is the second strata is the private sector, and the third is real people to people. Again, I would stress that we tend to look at or define in terms of our cliched understanding. We need to really get out of that. I mentioned to you that when I went to Northeast, I had a very distinct feeling that there's a huge, profoundly potential service economy which we can unlock for the benefit of that, for both sides. A very minute, a very micro illustration would be that we need, because of our healthcare sector and all needs, caregivers, for example. And I looked at people in Shillong. I can imagine if I expand Manipur, Mizoram, they're coming in hundreds now in Delhi or other parts of Northwest India. They would be equally challenged to come or cross over to Bangladeshi side, all on economic consideration, right and good. So that's what I feel strongly. It's not simply responding to a question, frankly speaking.
I get you, sir. But when we look at Bangladeshi media, or when we look at statements given out by Bangladesh, or when we, as simple as, let's say, the Dhaka University elections, where you had I think it was the Jamaat Student Union, which actually won 23 out of 28 seats. There is a lot of anti-India sentiment that seems to come out in the Bangladeshi media, statements by Bangladeshi politicians, even on social media. So while you say that people-to-people ties and at multiple levels that are there, but how does one take into account these statements and these remarks that come about? And the whole fear that Bangladesh is moving into a more radicalized society. I'm just talking about in terms of the university elections and the increased deepening of ties with Pakistan, because that's also a concern.
Very, very happy to take your question, not to take on you. But I just have here, this is what I would have, it's in Bangla, someone can interpret. This is by hall, Dhaka University, and by the major 5 contestants as to what exact absolute raw numbers they polled. One can analyze later. I'll give you a very cryptic, because it's very important to understand what actually happened in Dhaka University. Before 9 September, there were some signals coming, etc. But what is Dhaka University Students' Union election? But not only there, the buck is not stopping there. Out of 12 seats in the main cabinet, 9 went the Islamist, Shibir way. Interesting, they did not put up the panel by their name. It was something like Combined Students' Unity, etc. Of the 9, there is a Chakma boy. Please do not forget this. The remaining 3, who are the remaining 3? All independents. It literally shocked, if not surprised, many. Of the 3, there is another Chakma girl, someone called Hema Chakma. So what does it mean? To me, even as a Bangladeshi, I was surprised to see, just imagine, out of 12, there are 2 Chakma, boy and girl. I would hate to say, identify by someone's affiliation or distinction, but still, it's important to understand.
Chakmas are Buddhists. It's a tribe.
Only Buddhists,
Yes.
that one may look at, etc. But meaning that in a studentship of 40,000 plus minus, turnout was one of the highest ever, 78 to 80%. So if someone would contest that the Army League Students' Union, etc., AL votes did not come, etc., they did come by any account. And 14, so of 40,000, let's say 78, 80% polled, 14,000 was bagged by the Shibir candidate. The second person next to him was 7,000, way below. Another striking outcome was that the Students' Party, National Citizens' Party, their candidate got only 1,000. No conclusion from my side. Meaning the students gave a huge signal that if you take anything for granted, given, we want to send a message. The another message that they sent is that anyone who stands for integrity, merit and everything, all the 12 candidates, unqualified by way ahead of others in terms of merit and everything. So another striking thing, all the 4 female student halls, they all overwhelmingly put their ballots in favor of the Shibir candidates. When they were accosted, asked on the streets and everything, they happily said whether someone is without hijab or with a bindi and everything, yeah, we voted for Sadiq. What's wrong in it? They were openly contested. These are all in the Facebook. You can go to the reels and all that. Bus has not stopped there. Next is Jahangir University at the outskirts of Dhaka. The candidate who won is an independent. There were some hiccups there in terms of some doubts being about to be casted, etc. It's not stopped there. Go to the Rajshahi, which is bordering Murshidabad, that side. I just saw an image where it shows that 7 contestants for vice president, 7 for general secretary, all female. All female. And I was trying to desperately see whether someone is with hijab or all that. I think there were 2, if not 3 there. What I am trying to understand, the stereotyping or what we have given to understand or what we take as granted, and then there are people who say, no, Bangladeshis were there, the textbooks or that journal says this, and I see that really makes me sad is that even now, those who are trying to understand of Bangladesh is stuck in 70s, not even 90s, trust me. And I'm saying this with courage and conviction. Anyone wants to inquire it independently, objectively, will not be, I'll issue you visa, unqualified, go and find it for real, crossover, etc. So Shubhendu Obidekari or the Motua leader made a démarche to us in Kolkata. I called up my deputy and said, please happily tell him on the table, so we gave you visa right away. You cross over, go and find it for yourself. That's it.
So you just met Mamata Banerjee also.
50 minutes. I survived.
So did she speak for 55 out of that or not?
Oh, well.
So I also wanted to ask you, so one of the sectors that have been impacted after the fall of Hasina government, to some extent has been infrastructure. For instance, if you take the Maitri Setu between Agartala Sabroom and Ramgarh, it was inaugurated, but it continues to remain operational because, after the regime change happened, nothing moved forward. Even the Agartala Akhara rail link, that continues to be inoperational. So, how do you see this and what's happening? Is there going to be, when are they likely to get operational?
I was in Tripura and I see that I went to Nishchintapur, I crossed over to, I even drove from Agartala side to all the way to Ashuganj, went back. I have been there almost 800 to 900 kilometers. I see that as much as you see. But important point is that it's for Delhi to begin a conversation. As and when conversations start, then we'll see.
Yeah. No, Ambassador was saying that you said that we should look at you as a South Asian, right? And it's great to hear because it instantly brings all the nations in the region closer, right? The moment you hear something like that, much closer than they actually seem to be at this point. This current climate, the overall picture in this region, and then, of course, the intricate bilateral relations, multiple intricate bilateral relations between countries in the region. What do you see? What do you think is the future of SAARC? Is there a future at all? Where is it headed? What's going to happen?
I have worked on both SAARC and BIMSTEC. Let me put it very straight and first. Obviously, SAARC I have invested for 6 years, 3.5 in SAARC Secretariat, and obviously in the 13th summit onwards. I think a bigger question should be and is, what is our approach, belief in regionalism and regional cooperation, both together? I think it's a fair question because there are at different junctures we have seen different approaches. one of the familiar and more conventional is to go for project by project. I, for one, have handled two things. One, the first ever SAARC Development Fund funded $13.5 million grant finance project with Sewa in India, that moved for real on the ground. Having said that, let me also bring a real elephant. There's something called SAARC Development Fund. You can check out right as I speak. What would shock you is that there is more than $500 million, 500 million, sitting in their cash accounts entirely. Now, this was supposed to be a mover, a transformer for regional cooperation. Why it has not happened? Partly, again, as I said in the very first go, that our understanding of regional cooperation and the way of working together is something, again, I often say that, we are also constrained by sense of economic sovereignty, or ceding the sense of economic sovereignty. How much, and do I or do I not? That is, as well. It was supposed, if you look out right away, check out the statute, charter and bylaws of SDF, you'll be so much surprised. It's so liberating. That was the intention. All our countries work together. But then when it was given to us, then politics came in, our own limiting factors, understanding if I'm a functionary in the government, I'll tend to look at it more as a national undertaking. And then it was more to go for grant finance. Then I think it gradually turned in a different way. So my point remains, this is not my intention to give a prognosis of why couldn't it move, is that there are many things, many instruments which were made to go beyond trade in goods, also to create a robust foundation for that. But again, looking at the other, which is, let's say, BIMSTEC, or maybe hopefully something else might even someday come, question issue is that how do we engage? We have a BIMSTEC FTA since 2004, if I'm not wrong, hardly has moved or has been able to move. I would equate that, with my limited understanding, into what I have seen, the ceding economic sovereignty. How much do I cede? Or whereas if you see in the last almost now 21 years, the whole world has moved around. It may be a fair question to ask to ourselves, because I'm also an equal stakeholder in that undertaking, that the whole raison d'etre of BIMSTEC FTA, has it moved? I mean, has it, or do we sort of recalibrate it under the current today? Because investment regimes are changing. We are doing away with BIAs, bilateral investment agreements, for example. So how do we, is it simply trade or trade plus investment? We are no longer talking in terms of typical limited FTAs. We are talking in terms of comprehensive economic partnerships agreements. So that's what I think would be my take. There could be many more. For example, I started saying that about agriculture, for example. Agriculture is a huge thing. It's about touching the lives, not simply cliched livelihoods. And imagine with the amount of investments, minimal in terms of few millions, you can reach enormous numbers and then impact, and then they make them create as stakeholders. Something like more as I watched the whole Zubin's post-Zubin death episode, look at the numbers. We can't translate or quantify them in terms of what we are trained to look at as. I don't know whether I'm making sense.
So from where did this $500 million come into the SAARC?
It's paid up its authorized capital is $1 billion. Paid up capital was something around 100, if I'm not wrong. All there mentioned. All our 8 countries
shared.
Yes,
but it's just sitting there now.
Mostly. Now it's caught. So that itself should qualify as a story. You can dig.
Who's supposed to administer it?
There's a secretariat, professionally run, managed, fully paid.
In Delhi?
Bhutan.
Because SAARC was Arshad's idea, if I remember correctly.
I don't know if you heard RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat yesterday. He was talking about what Ambedkar called that grammar of anarchy. And then he added that any revolution that comes through the violent uprisings never really changes things on the ground. It never achieves its objective. In Bangladesh's context, how do you look at this comment?
I can only respond to what we have seen and what we have understood and what we continue to understand in terms of the things manifest and are heard, including the Dhaka University students in election outcome. It's essentially about aspiration, not necessarily driven by any ideology, the way we understand ideology or ideologies. And it's the sovereign expression of a people at a given point of time. So anyone is sovereign to his or her own view. I shouldn't have any judgment on someone else's thing, but I would only ask that we try to understand, including the cartoons and graffitis that I shared with you, as a people's extreme form of rage. One should ask that as to what triggered and then got accumulated in a huge swath of rage, and then why are they continuously asking that anyone who would be in power, in authority, in chair, should deliver or come close to fulfilling their aspirations.
My next question is what you said in your introductory remark. You talked about the need for equity in relationship. What exactly did you mean? And a related question to that is when you hear Jamaat leaders talking about Ghazwa-e-Hind in Bangladesh, how do you think it resonates here in India and how it impacts relationship?
Equity and mutual trust. The demography, particularly the younger demography, what they're asking is that wherever formally or informally we interact, we sit across with anyone, be that any power, the other side should regard us as a sovereign equal partner, not simply as a customer. And if it's to be relationship, it better not be looked at in terms of any transaction, particularly one-off transaction. So that would be their ask also as we proceed to the election next year, as I understand. About the Jamaat thing, we have seen, but I guess I'm not in a position to respond to that.
One broad question, what Sneha started. How would you characterize Bangladesh's relationship with India today as compared to what it was when Sheikh Hasina was there?
Sorry?
How would you characterize India-Bangladesh relationship today as compared to what it was during Sheikh Hasina's period? And what are your expectations from New Delhi?
I have said, and I would keep on saying consistently, in order to ensure that I'm being consistent, I think Keshav can share what I spoke out on 19th of June here in Delhi, is that we see this is a seamless relationship based organically among people. That's why I consciously said that I see that at different levels. Sometimes we tend to look at the state of relationship at a given point of time between the capitals, between the functionaries, between the governments. But I would also ask very humbly that we understand. That's why the reference that I made about the recent survey, quite a robust one, where people do not look at relationship, whatever you may hear in terms of social media, the likes that you see, or the insights that are provided. This is for real because population are looking at things, understanding things in their own way, not in terms of what is being thrown at them, heaped at them, if you may say bombarded. No. People, not simply the younger ones, The adults are looking at it in a very conscious way. There is across the board understanding that relationship with India has to be there. It's not about whatever some naysayers may say. So let's take it for real. That's why when one of your colleagues reached out to me and said that whether Bangladesh, so I didn't say simply for rhetoric that it's a matter, it's not a rhetoric, it's for real, that our salt shall never be used. And simply not that I said it on my own, I said it as being, as having vouched from Dhaka as well.
That was a very significant statement. He said Bangladesh's soil will never be used against India by anybody. And you said that was with endorsement from Dhaka.
I'm repeating the same thing.
He's repeating the same thing.
So, hi, Commissioner. When we're talking about regionalism, I wanted to sort of raise the question of BIMSTEC. Because Bangladesh is the chair of BIMSTEC. It's where Prime Minister Modi met with Chief Advisor Mohammed Yunus in Thailand. Like you said, the FTA since 2004, there was some vision document this year saying we need to complete this soon. There's a maritime pact. There's some semblance of some idea. But in comparison to SAARC, it's not as well, knitted out because it isn't 30 years of that kind of work. So how do you see BIMSTEC or these new forms of regional blocs that India has been pushing from Dhaka, right? When India is clear on SAARC. So how do you see that, and where do you see this going forward under Bangladesh's chairmanship for the next couple of years?
I see that any regional undertaking being pushed by all, irrespective of size and endowment. Obviously, at any given point of time, a country can take interest in a particular sector or in certain issue or initiative. And that's only normal and logical, and I think it's only fair to respect and recognize and value that. I guess the undertakings in regional cooperation, which we have seen since the 1980s, mid-90s, there was also the question of sense of the consideration came that, okay, let's have sub-regional cooperation as well. In something called SAGQ came up, South Asia Growth Quadrangle also, between 3 countries, 4 countries, plus 2 or 3 countries also came. Having seen all the experiments, are also sometimes compared with why and how ASEAN, if not the Greater Mekong, could make the move and accomplish. I think we should not be driven by numbers, but a balance of both quality and quantity, but also make a balance in terms of any particular sector where any country attaches great importance because of their very logical concern and everything, but then try to get some results. Because in South Asia, what I see, people are saying that we have seen and understood regional cooperation undertakings for quite some time. I'm saying from Maldives to Bhutan, the large swath. So even for a school student, teacher is also fair to ask that, what are the results? What are the impact? How much is it trying to come and impact me? So one is that we have to make these strategic policy-oriented discourses keep moving, but also some results. That's why I consciously brought up this alternate menu. It's not only for Bangladesh and India, meaning agriculture, health and education, etc. There could be many more, but also then very serious ones like counterterrorism and climate change. So C2C. But those would be sometimes deeply entrenched, might not move as fast as what we can move here, but it's a balance of these that will have to come. We have also kept our conversations and interactions limited, confined to governments. I say this with a bit of hesitation. And as a result, when entire South Asia is driven phenomenally and substantially by private sector, there is hardly any interest from private sector. Whereas they say that if the core of any undertaking is economic, where are we? So, but because we say that this is intergovernmental, their things are limited. If you go to ASEAN, for example, I have seen a fantastic study or roadmap done by McKinsey at some point, which ASEAN was to adopt around 2011. It's absolutely striking the way they have gone to the micro details, and it's looked like more like a private or corporate strategy at the grandest possible scheme or scale. I think I've said enough.
Ambassador, I have a question. Migration from Bangladesh.
High Commissioner. High Commissioner.
No problem.
I know it's the same thing, but it's a part of the Commonwealth tradition, yes.
Migration from Bangladesh to India has always been very contentious politically. But
Saurabh is from Tripura.
increasingly, the discourse around migration in India has become quite shrill over the last few years. And so when you have leaders of the Indian ruling establishment talk about Bangladeshi Guspetias, the need to weed them out from India's electoral rolls, so how does that play out in Bangladesh? How does that affect India-Bangladesh ties?
Public opinion.
And also government-to-government relations.
What you are referring to is irregular movement of people.
Yeah. And this entire discourse that they need to be removed from India. And in fact, we have seen many people being pushed through the Agartala-Bangladesh border over the last few months.
What you are alluding to is very classically understood to be irregular movement of people, to be more exact, trafficking in persons as well. So this is what I would quantify this as. And then if any individual has crossed over to to India and vice versa to Bangladesh, there will be standard mechanisms, institutional mechanisms and procedures laid out as to the fact that between the two border guards and also, if needed, other actors along the border who are mandated to deal with them, they are produced, or their antecedents, particular nationality, will be verified, checked, and they'll be returned. Now, what we have been observing since early May to be exact, the arbitrary push in of individuals allegedly Bangladeshi, because it's for sure that the not vast majority of them are Bangladeshi back into Bangladeshi is, if I may say, a single thing. It's exactly creating very negative impression amongst the population. You can check it out for yourself through the Bangladeshi public space, including press and media. We have at different levels, we have tried to say that there are absolutely ways to deal with it. We are in conversation with the Government of India at the central government level to say that whatever list we have seen, we have been issuing them as fast as possible travel permits, so that in order to get them back as and when their nationality is verified. But what we see that irrespective of that, the arbitrary push-ins are taking place. This, to me, simply put, stands to hurt the relationship. And may I also say, this may not give a real deserving high value sort of standing of India that India has, not only in Bangladesh, South Asia, but the world over. Because this is also getting beyond Bangladesh, because there is considerable humanitarian dimensions of that. There are stories coming up, which I would have thought that given the ways that we can potentially liberate the relationship, such a constraint should not have featured.
Are you saying that the political discourse over the Bangladeshi alleged infiltrators, Does that discourse hurt our ties here?
My considered view would be that characterization of a people by any term, anyone, frankly speaking, should be cautious that for whatever reason you may call another people by that, and history would suffice eminently for that. But people may not respond, but very quietly, exactly like the process of sedimentation, it goes into people's mind. And past months and weeks as I converse, interact with people back home, I can sense it significantly. That this is one thing which is getting into people's mind and possibly forming their mind. As to what degree and in what form, I think time would only tell that.
Hi, Commissioner. Can I ask a question? I just wanted to go back to your initial remark.
Introduce yourself.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Akanksha. I cover science and environment here. I just wanted to go back to your initial remarks. You were talking about transboundary rivers being one of the linkages between India and Bangladesh. So a few months ago, China had announced to make the world's biggest dam on the Brahmaputra in China, and that's something that has been discussed to be a cause of concern for India, but also for Bangladesh. I just wanted to ask you whether that's something that's being discussed in Bangladesh right now, what the impacts of it would be, but also whether that's something that India and Bangladesh could collaborate on and what the response to that would be.
Bangladesh is a lower riparian in both cases. Interestingly, the whole GBM basin, in case of Ganges, yes, with India, and the Brahmaputra, with China, obviously Meghna with India. We understand the challenges and constraints directly touching the lives and livelihoods of people, possibly the most amongst all countries in question. And also being mindful of similar situation elsewhere in the world, we believe that river basin-wide sharing or nurturing a natural resource as water, transboundary water, should be discussed forthright by all parties concerned. We are also, I am told that in Dhaka, we are also in touch with Beijing, but that's what I know at the moment.
So you met West Bengal CM Mamata Banerjee also. So did Tista came up in the discussion even informally?
You have not, possibly my point of reference would be what we released to the press. It was a very frank and cordial first interaction, not meant for any substantive one.
Also, sir, in September, the Bangladesh government had decided to start exporting hilsa to India just before the puja. So has hilsa started from the Padma River in Bangladesh started coming to India?
On the first day, the 18th of September, 37 metric tons crossed over, for your information. But again, please understand, this is a function of economics.
Demand and supply.
Demand and supply, because I asked my colleagues to check out in places like Maniktola Bazaar and others in Kolkata as to how they say that the traders have to decide how much they would demand.
I think 37 tons can be sold in Chittaranjan Park.
Yeah, because it was decided to kind of export 1,200 tons, if I'm not wrong.
Absolutely. Now it is up to the market. If they think that the price is too high, if they do not import.
So the demand has gone down in India?
Price. It's a function of price. Because in Dhaka retail market, retail price is 2,500 taka per kg right now. Because this time there's an exceptionally low catch of hilsa, because maybe some disturbance in climate or something in the Bay of Bengal. It's a very unique phenomenon of this side. It's not just
because
like
it spawns on one side, it
right.
breeds on the other. Yes, it's a special fish. It's
The boniest of fish.
Yeah. I think we'll take the last two questions because he has more important things to do.
Hi, Commissioner. My question is about the July Charter. There have been deliberations going on in Bangladesh between parties, and there have been differences between BNP and Jamaat. Both have voiced differences over certain aspects that are part of the July Charter. And I was reading Prathamalo, there was a statement from one of the top officials who's overseeing the process just yesterday that they expect to finalize the July Charter by 15th of October. In your view, would those differences between Jamaat and BNP over certain points of the July Charter act as an obstacle in the interim government's plan to hold elections next year? Or do you think the issues will be ironed out by that time?
Coming up to thus far, we have seen lot of highs and lows, lot of hiccups. Lot of times we felt that possibly to crack, it may not move to this stage, but it has. So I would, being mindful of the latest or the recent progression, I'd only be hopeful that possibly this time also they would be. It's because you can imagine by the very nature of issues that they're debating and of different sizes of parties, stakeholders who are in conversation sitting across like this unstable. Sometimes not only the merit of what they're putting up, what they're putting across, sometimes it may get difficult for someone else in the room, but we are hopeful because all actors are absolutely in unison made it clear that they will iron out all the differences so that in order to pave way for February 26 election. So that's where I'll put my hope.
I just have one very small follow-up
Yes,
question.
Amritansh.
We reported at ThePrint last month that the BNP is saying that the Awami League should be allowed to contest the elections if and when they are held. The statement that a senior BNP official gave was that if Awami League is not allowed to contest the elections if and when they are held, then this would amount to the same sort of oppression of representation that Sheikh Hasina was accused of. Does the interim government have a stand on whether Awami League will be allowed to contest the elections if and when they're held?
Not that anything that I have heard of. Either way, frankly speaking.
Sorry, just one last question. We have been wondering about the whereabouts of Sheikh Hasina. Do you have any idea?
I thought I will ask that question to you. And I'd be better off not knowing.
Okay, last question, any of the others? These were all usual suspects
Particularly, as
asking.
you may say, not backbenchers, sorry.
Yes, yes. Any questions from? Huh.
Hi, Commissioner. My name is Chaitanya. I'm one of the interns here, so privileged that I'm given an opportunity to ask a question.
He's from the ThePrint School of Journalism. That's an online school that they run.
Yeah, my question is, do you feel that some sections of the Indian media do not understand the Bangladeshi society well enough, similar to the perception in India that sections of Western media don't necessarily understand India and all of its vibrancy? If so, what can happen in the future to change that?
I have always been a great believer. I've seen India in very tumultuous times. 31st December 1990, I was in the last sunset day of the year. I was standing in Bombay. I picked up the Times of India and I read John Kenneth Galbraith's last sentence. You can imagine the challenging time India was passing through at that time. And he said, quote unquote, India is a functioning anarchy, but amidst anarchy, it will continue to prosper, unquote. That gives me enough reasons to believe that there is a large population of 1.3. There are different threads, different shades. I think things will get cleared in a natural process, dare I say distillation. If anyone, yes, there have been some who have done so, and I would not hesitate to say that has been a grievous injury if not damage to the relationship. We have seen that not only baseless, but having any respect for journalistic ethos as well. But again, it has been cleared off just like a riverine flow. And please understand that minds of people are like sedimentation. Coming from deltaic country, active most delta in the world, we know it very well. I've walked on barefoot on that. So that
the water passes, but the sediment remains.
But sediment also next day it may get washed away as well, sir.
Yes.
No one knows, no one can vouch that it will stay there, the chore, for example. So we do not understand that. And psyche of people, particularly in that part of the world, including Northeast, Eastern India, all that, I think one needs to understand that natural process and what you may cancel it as fluidity. It's not fluidity. Point remains that if someone behaves not in a responsible way, the space will take care of that. I am not necessarily bothered about it. But I would only submit that it's a long walk, and it's a walk in shared interest. This is a shared space. As much as I am sovereign to my own national interest, I'm selfish in that, you are as well. But then, end of the day, there is something called shared space where I and you wish to and have to engage. And that's in shared interest. And it's better that sooner we understand, recognize that. Better we do that, good for us.
People here know what a chore is. He just mentioned the word chore. Saurabh, you are excluded. So chores are like river islands. In big rivers, when the rivers spread and water goes down in post-monsoons, then these islands emerge or large empty areas emerge. So people go, very hardy farmers, they go and they plant a crop. And these are all one crop lands. Sometimes these are leased out, sometimes these are illegally taken. But the rivers that go into Bangladesh are rivers with very large flows and very large riverbeds. And chores.
Before you wrap up, can I say something on record?
Sir.
1987 World Resources, I saw it for real. USGS survey estimation, 23% of entire sediment load by all the major river systems in the world are carried by GBM basin. Where on earth are they getting deposited, if not thumped?
Not thumped. So that's how these islands come up.
1.3 billion metric tons. Can you imagine, visualize what is 1.3? But in spite of everything, people smile, people wake up.
And that's what makes Bangladesh particularly vulnerable to global warming.
That's one side of the story.
Yeah.
But the other side is that I say that, when it rains, we cry. When it doesn't rain, then also we cry. So you can't complain about it. Sedimentation is something that, if you can't turn it around, you have to. Yeah.
Okay, I think we have to thank him. You can carry on. You are a very, I can see that you are a very popular envoy for your country.
Popular?
Yes, and you are going to be, because
soon
at
to be
least,
unpopular, sir.
No, not at all. No, not at all. Not at all. I think they sent you here not because they wanted to punish you. They sent you to India because they obviously saw in you somebody who could handle, I won't say tough assignment, but assignment at a tough juncture. And all tough junctures pass. As Robert Blackwell, the US ambassador, used to say, hang on to your tough times because tomorrow they'll be your good old days.